Smoke Dreams stood on the rooftop, his newfound powers tingling through his body. He watched as Rel and Beater tested their abilities nearby, laughing and shoving each other playfully. Shadow Paradox lurked in the corner, his dark energy swirling around his fingertips. Quan, the Jamaican powerhouse, was nowhere to be seen, probably off chasing his two greatest loves, pizza and roadside girls. As they continued to explore their powers, a group of superpowered babies suddenly appeared, crawling menacingly towards them. Smoke Dreams hesitated, unsure how to handle such an unusual threat. Rel and Beater, however, sprang into action, using their newfound abilities to fend off the tiny terrors. Shadow Paradox joined the fray, his shadowy tendrils wrapping around the babies and lifting them into the air. Quan finally showed up, a half-eaten slice of pizza in one hand and a phone number scrawled on his other palm. He grinned, tossing the pizza aside and diving into the bizarre battle. He wanted to be a hero, but the sight of super-powered infants crawling up walls and shooting laser beams from their eyes was almost too much to handle. He stumbled backwards, tripping over his own feet and landing with a thud. Rel and Beater, having successfully subdued the baby brigade, turned to see Smoke Dreams sprawled on the ground. They burst into laughter, pointing and jeering at their fallen comrade. "Some hero you are, Smokey." Rel chuckled, wiping tears from his eyes. Beater, the 40-year-old overweight member of their ragtag group, waddled over to help Smoke Dreams up. As he reached out his hand, exhaustion suddenly overtook him, and he collapsed into a snoring heap beside his friend. Rel's laughter doubled in intensity, clutching his sides as he howled at the sight. Shadow Paradox, ever the voice of reason, stepped forward. "Leave them be," she said, her voice echoing with otherworldly power. "We all have our strengths and weaknesses." As the group caught their breath, Quan's phone buzzed. "Batty boy, start with pizza, batty boy. Start with pizza. Go downtown, find a roadside gal." He answered it with a grin, his eyes lighting up. "Yo, it's my favorite roadside gal," he exclaimed, stepping away from the others to chat privately. Rel rolled his eyes, muttering under his breath about Quan's questionable taste in women. Beater, having finally woken up, overheard the comment and took offense. "Hey, don't judge a man's choices," he shouted, puffing out his chest. Before anyone could blink, Rel and Beater were at each other's throats, powers flaring as they traded blows. Smoke Dreams watched in horror as his friends turned on each other, unsure how to intervene. Shadow Paradox, however, had no such reservations. With a wave of his hand, he separated the brawling duo, encasing them in bubbles of darkness. "Enough," he commanded, his voice booming across the rooftop. "We're supposed to be a team, not children squabbling in a playground." As the tension dissipated, Smoke Dream's phone buzzed with an alert. A robbery was in progress at a nearby bank. This was his chance to prove himself. Without a word, he leaped from the rooftop, using his smoke powers to glide towards the scene of the crime. Arriving at the bank, Smoke Dreams burst through the doors in a cloud of dramatic mist. The robbers, caught off guard, dropped their bags of money and raised their hands in surrender. Smoke Dreams felt a surge of pride. He'd done it. He'd stopped a real crime. But as the smoke cleared and the police sirens wailed in the distance, a thought occurred to him. All that money just lying there on the floor. Surely the bank wouldn't miss a few bills. Before he could talk himself out of it, Smoke Dreams scooped up a handful of cash and stuffed it into his pocket. As the police entered the bank, Smoke Dreams put on his best heroic pose. Officers have apprehended the criminals and secured the stolen money, he announced, conveniently forgetting about the bills weighing down his pocket. The police chief thanked him for his assistance, but as they began to count the recovered money, a frown crossed his face. "We seem to be a few $100s short," he muttered, eyeing Smoke Dreams suspiciously. Panic gripped our would-be hero. "Oh no," he exclaimed, feigning concern. "Those dastardly robbers must have hidden some of it. Don't worry, officers. I'll help you search every nook and cranny until we find the missing cash." And so, Smoke Dreams spent the next hour searching for the money he'd pocketed, all while maintaining his heroic facade. As he left the bank, he couldn't help but feel a mix of guilt and excitement. Being a hero was harder than he'd thought. But maybe, just maybe, he could find a way to balance doing good with a little personal gain. Little did he know, his actions that day would set in motion a series of events that would test not only his powers, but his very notion of what it meant to be a hero. As he made his way back to his friends, the weight of the stolen money in his pocket served as a constant reminder of the fine line between hero and villain. A line he was only just beginning to navigate. To be continued.